Just like I said in my Silent Night review, the early 2000s to 2010s saw a resurgence of 80s slashers in a grittier and gorier fashion, and this one decided to go for bonus points by incorporating 3D effects. A town that dealt with a tragic accident years ago is now being tormented by a vengeful killer in a miner's uniform. This is my review of the My Bloody Valentine remake. The movie starts off by giving us some lore. There was a fatal accident in Hanniger Mines that killed 5 people, leaving only 1 survivor. It seems that all fingers point to Tom Hanniger, who didn't check the methane levels properly. However, it turns out that survivor, Harry Warden, played by Richard John Walters, may actually be the reason the other miners are dead. Now Warden is supposedly in a coma. Awful spry for someone fresh out of a coma. Could give Myers a run for his money. Now either Warden is a quick slaughterer, or the police around here are slow as hell. Meanwhile, at Hanniger Mine, there's some maybe or maybe not underage shenanigans going on. Here we meet Axel, played by Kerr Smith, Irene, played by Betsy Rue, Sarah, played by Jaime King, and Tom, played by Jensen Ackles. I know it's not the early 2000s anymore, but let me give you a little fashion advice here. Do not wear black underwear under a sheer white article of clothing. Alas, we have bigger issues to worry about, it seems. Not even 10 minutes in here, and people are already dying. What more could you want? Turns out Tom's trepidation with being here was right on the money, eh? Speaking of, he returns just in time to join Sarah, Axel, and Irene in running the fuck out of there. Or trying to. Unfortunately, Axel leaves him behind, so Tom is forced to fend for himself. Until Sheriff Burke and Officer Hinch, played by Tom Atkins and the late Bingo O'Malley, show up and fire a few rounds at Harry. Nothing like a little trauma on top of trauma. We flash forward a decade later and things have changed. Axel's now the sheriff and married to Sarah with a son, played by Andrew Larson. Apparently, Axel isn't fond of Sarah and Ben Foley, played by Kevin Tighe, joking around about dumping him. But it's totally fine if Axel has a rendezvous with Megan, played by Megan Boone, behind Sarah's back. Megan does have a little wrench to throw at Axel, though. I'm pregnant. This motherfucker don't even have the common decency to use a condom when he's cheating. Hey look, Tom has returned, but only to sign papers, so that the Hanniger mine can be sold given that his father's dead. Can't be that cut and clean, of course. Foley has to lay down some tremendous guilt tripping, but Tom isn't budging. Time to get a motel room for some sleep. Or not. Whatever those pills are, I hope they work better than melatonin. Perhaps it's some form of irony that this happens to be Irene and Frank, played by Todd Farmer, who is also married to someone he's not fucking. What the hell is going on in Harmony? But you know what really pisses Irene off? The fact that Frank has recorded the whole ordeal without her knowledge. Not bad aim there, Irene, but I bet someone can do better. Running for your life with your titties and whatnot flapping in the breeze is a hell of a way to go. But first, Celine, played by Celine Luna, has to bite it. Irene puts up a respectable fight, but she doesn't last long either. While the police investigate this triple murder, Tom reconnects with Sarah, much to her bittersweet happiness. With the recent murders, as well as the footage from Frank's camera, everybody now believes that Harry Warden has returned. Locals aren't terribly pleased with Tom's presence, and neither is Axel. Am I sensing distrust from the adulterer? The next morning, Tom talks with Sarah, and he ends up going back to the mines to speak with Foley. There, Harry appears and traps Tom before killing Red, played by Jeff Hochendoner. He vanishes before the other miners come to Red's aid, which obviously leaves a lot of leering at Tom, primarily because he claims Harry Warden is back, and others believe he's dead. Oh, also Tom has decided not to sell the mine and stay a while longer, which just makes Axel so happy. Now apparently, one reason why Axel thinks that Tom is insane is because after the events 10 years ago, some of the men, including Burke and Foley, killed Harry themselves. Problem is, when the group goes to the location where Harry is buried, it seems he's not there. Now it's time to interrogate Tom.
Sarah, settle.
Always good to have a sheriff with commitment and anger issues. Tom then goes to the specific mine where all this shit went down looking for Warden, and ends up following a mysterious flashlight into the woods. What he finds is Axel's rickety cheating shack. You know what's a good idea? Getting plastered and carrying a gun around in case a guy you thought you killed comes back for your ass. Now, since the police can't find Tom or Foley, Axel and Deputy Martin, played by Eddie Gathegi, are sending out bulletins, and Axel's distrust keeps going up. On the bright side, they do find Foley. Later on, Harry pays Sarah and Megan a visit. Where else is he gonna get the protein and energy he needs to be swinging that pickaxe around all the time? Between Megan and Sarah, they do a decent job of fending him off for a while, until Megan gets snatched. Axel is the first to arrive on the scene, and he and Sarah find Megan. Hell of a time to reveal to your husband that you know he's cheating on you, but when else would be better? The next stop for Warden is the Palmer house. Thank God, Deputy Ferris, played by Karen Baum, is there to make sure no one gets in. Horror movie police officers never cease to disappoint me. At least Burke noticed the miner with asthma breaking in. While Ferris locates Noah and Rosa, played by Joy De La Paz, Burke comes face to face with Warden. Or rather, face to pickaxe. Tom ends up picking Sarah up from the hospital, and tells her that according to what he found in the abandoned house, he believes Axel is actually the killer, not Harry Warden. At the same time, Axel calls Sarah to tell her that Tom has been in a mental institution for the past 7 years, and he believes that Tom is the killer. Sarah intentionally crashes Tom's car and heads off into the woods. She goes to Axel's abandoned house under his orders. There she finds Megan's Valentine for Axel, as well as a shit ton of heart boxes. Of course, the miner arrives and Sarah flees to Hanniger Mines. It's here that Tom, Axel, and Sarah confront each other. It's also revealed that it's been Tom all along. At least in a way. The thing is, Tom hasn't done any of the killing consciously. It's been more of a psychosis situation, where he has acted as Harry Warden. So he and Axel tussle around a bit before Axel gets the sharp end of a pickaxe to the torso. She may have hesitated and missed before, but this time Sarah actually aims well. But you can't expect a little thing like an explosion and partial collapse of a mine to kill Tom. Sarah makes it out alright, and unfortunately, so does Axel. Speaking of... And with one last appearance by Warden, and a little 3D scare, the credits roll. Something I noticed more this time around than the previous times I've watched this film is that the sound design is quite good. There were multiple times where I had to take my headphones off to make sure that what I was hearing wasn't actually going on around me. It's the more subtle stuff, like when Tom is having an episode. I enjoy everyone's acting. There's hints of camp here and there. Other than that, it's played pretty serious, and I feel it works well. I like Jaime King much more here than in Silent Night. Jensen Ackles' portrayal of Tom immediately made me gravitate towards him. I love me a sympathetic psycho. I like all the nods to the original thrown in throughout. I especially like the twist on the twist. If you've seen the original and or my review of it, then you know that it's Axel acting as Harry Warden, so it's rather smart to switch that to Tom. The score by Michael Wanmacher is pretty good. Certain portions I feel like I have a pretty strong chance of being able to pick out as belonging to this film. No special ballad here, unfortunately. For as controversial and gory as the original is, this one sincerely amps that up. If you don't agree to what I've listed as positives for this movie, you can at least appreciate this. This remake brought attention back to the original, and even incited a pieced back together version that included the scenes the MPAA forced them to cut out. I do feel that the settings and atmosphere are comparable to the original, maybe a bit less gritty and dirty, but I still like the vibe of things as it feels authentic. This could very well be yet another case of knowing who the real killer is early on. Some people I've heard from quickly pick up on it, while others don't and are genuinely surprised. The attempts to make us question whether it could be someone other than Axel or Tom are pretty shallow. I sort of praised the ample gore and such, but it's also true that a lot of it is CGI. It doesn't look bad in my opinion, but let's also keep in mind that some of it had to be done digitally for the sake of the 3D effect. As I alluded to before, this doesn't have the campiness that many enjoy about the original. If you're someone that prefers their horror on the more serious side, no problem. But if you're looking for the same fun vibe that you get from the 1981 original, this might not be so enjoyable. While the original My Bloody Valentine gave us characters that were all around pleasant and fun, the remake gave us darker versions, with a number of them being more unlikable. I'm looking at you, Axel. Alright, I'll admit. There are some egregious moments of stupidity throughout. Like when Sarah only hits the alarm button after struggling with the minor, and Megan getting got, as well as the negligent deputy supposedly guarding the Palmer house. With all that being said, I'm giving the My Bloody Valentine remake 8 out of 10 bloody thumbs up. While I enjoy both My Bloody Valentines, I tend to like this one a little bit more. Can 85% of that reasoning be placed firmly on Jensen Ackles' shoulders? Yes. Going back to my feelings on Silent Night, this remake did what I would have liked to have seen there, which is making the killer sympathetic. Maybe this film is another reason why I didn't enjoy Silent Night too much. I had seen this remake before Silent Night, and that essentially set a bit of a standard in regards to reimagining 80s slashers. If you put some of the more popular slasher remakes in front of me and asked me to pick out the ones I prefer to watch, this would definitely be one. On a side note, I would like to share an amusing moment from when I had my family watch this movie. During the climax, when Sarah is being chased, my brother points at the miner's shadow and says, "I know who that is. I know that walk anywhere. That's Dean." He has a good point. I would recommend the My Bloody Valentine remake to gore hounds, slasher fans, people looking for an entertaining movie for the holiday, and anyone who wouldn't mind getting cardboard indents and burns in order to get the full 3D effect. See you later. If you're looking for more Valentine slashers, check out my review of My Bloody Valentine 1981. Thank you to my patrons Michael Musale, Bronson Wright Wolf, Diana Moe, Sean Sheridan, and Raiders AK for supporting the channel.